Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our student author ceremony where we are honoring our 8th grade winner for our story writing contest today. I am Judy Culbertson. I'm with the California Foundation for Agriculture in the Classroom, and today we are here highlighting one of our special premier programs, and that is the Imagine This story writing contest. The mission of the foundation overall is to really educate students and teachers about the importance of agriculture throughout the state. And we do that through a variety of methods. We think it's so important as our society is becoming more and more urbanized that we reach out and make sure that the upcoming consumers, current consumers, and upcoming purchasers know really where their food and fiber do come from. So like I mentioned, Imagine This is one of those programs. We have students who write stories throughout the state, and then the stories are illustrated and then published into a book. And this is working to create a really positive learning experience that promotes reading, writing, and the arts. So as we get started with kicking off this program, I'd like to share with you a message from the Secretary of California Department of Food and Agriculture, Karen Ross.
Hi, I'm Karen Ross, Secretary of the California Department of Food and Agriculture, and this event honoring the students and the great authors and the great artists and their teachers and the parents who support them is one of my favorite events of the year. To say congratulations to our winners. Imagine This is just one of the most amazing programs. I wish that every school knew about this. I wish that more parents knew about this. And certainly the employer community needs to know about this. These students know how to write. They do amazing research, and they're so creative in their storytelling. And what really makes these stories come to life are the wonderful illustrations that high school students who have not even met those authors do. It's a fabulous program, and I'm so proud to be a supporter of it. So congratulations to our winners who did great research to write creative stories that are all inspired by agriculture. Listen to these topics: cauliflower pizza, colors don't matter. And I do have to call this one out because the impact of this story, talking about red bell peppers not being able to associate with yellow bell peppers after a year like 2020. Audrey and Ava, the avocados, the wonderful world of wool and all the products that can be made from wool. Allison and the secrets behind makeup, that was an excellent story. And backyard basil. We had winners from 4 different counties. We had students from 3rd through the 8th grade, and we even had a brother and a sister. This is a fabulous program. I'd love to get this book into the hands of every school child in California. So, Ag in the Classroom, thank you for sponsoring this. To the sponsors who make this program possible, Simplot, thank you for what you do to support this program. Here's to another successful year. And again, students, congratulations. I'm so proud of you.
Secretary Ross really does truly enjoy this program, and you got a nice little shout out there for brother and sister winners. That was pretty cool. She was really sad when we weren't able to put this into a live ceremony again, but next year we're keeping our fingers crossed. So today's ceremony, we are celebrating the creativity of our 8th grade winner, Will Magni. And congratulations, Will. Yay, I agree. He is a student at Sacred Heart School in Stanislaus County, and his teacher is Elaine Magni. And we're pleased to have them both here with us. The story was actually illustrated by Callie Kindelt, and Mel Raj, and Grace Reiner from Woodland Senior High School. And they weren't able to participate on this particular Zoom, but they will be receiving recognition as well. And so we welcome you, Will and Elaine, and it's come to the time where we would like Will to read his story, Backyard Basil.
Backyard Basil. world may have shut down, but my mom's kitchen didn't. Mom has always made it a priority to prepare home-cooked meals on a daily basis. So when the world shut down on March 13th, 2020, she went above and beyond to make our daily routines as normal as possible. Mom keeps a sign in our kitchen that reads, "The kitchen is for dancing," and that dancing certainly didn't stop either. It had been 3 weeks since school had shut down, and my mom was trying everything she could to make sure we were still having fun. So she asked our landscaper, Abraham, to help us plant a backyard garden as a surprise. On April 3rd, after my sisters and I had finished all our schoolwork, my mom told us she had an extracurricular activity planned for us to do outside. When my sisters and I walked outside, we saw Abraham with shovels and plants. He was there to teach us how to plant a garden. I recognized the basil right away because my mom used basil to make one of my favorite dishes, pesto. "Is this garden located in a good spot for the basil to grow?" I asked. Abraham responded, "Definitely. California's Central Valley is a great place for basil to grow because it grows best in locations that get 6 to 8 hours of full sun daily. Without heat, basil won't grow well." "How long will it take before the basil is ready to be harvested?" "I'm ready to eat some of my mom's homemade pesto today. It's the best." "Don't worry, buddy. It doesn't take long at all, but there are some important things to remember. First, after the seedlings have produced their first leaves, prune to above the second set. This encourages the plants to start branching, resulting in more leaves for harvest. Second, every time a branch has 6 to 8 leaves, repeat pruning the branches back to their first set of leaves. And third, after about 6 weeks, pinch off the center shoot to prevent early flowering. If flowers do grow, just cut them off. That sounds easy enough. I'll be sure to take extra care of this plant so I can eat some pesto in the next few weeks. Abraham taught me how to get my hands dirty, and we dug in the ground and inserted 3 basil plants. Just to make the extracurricular activity a bit more fun, my sisters and I had a dirt fight that included a lot of laughter. Before Abraham left, I asked, "How often should we water?" Abraham said, "The soil should be kept moist, but well drained. The basil will do great in the raised bed you have because it will allow for better drainage. Plants get thirsty just like we do, so give them a drink of water every day." Abraham was right. After only 4 weeks, the basil was ready for its first harvest. I thought it would be a lot more complicated to pick the basil, but it was quite simple. We harvested early in the morning because that's when the leaves are the juiciest. All we had to do was gently pull on the leaves and they fell right into our hands. My mom said our first harvest had produced enough basil to make a small batch of pesto. We brought the basil into our kitchen, where my mom gently washed it before putting it in the food processor with all the other ingredients for pesto. I was happy because I knew that it would be a great dinner, and even more satisfying because we grew the plant ourselves. At dinner, I was a little sad because I thought this would be the only batch of pesto we'd get from our homegrown basil, but my mom had some exciting news for us. Basil doesn't stop growing until the plant fully dies off in mid-November or when the weather changes. Throughout the summer and early fall, we had an abundance of basil. My mom made pesto to put on our sandwiches, our pasta, and even made a spicy version with Fresno chili peppers. The food was even better because it was made with homegrown basil, love, and a lot of dancing in the kitchen.
That is really great.
Man, nice
That
job.
is. Boy, I don't know, I teared up a little bit, Mom. How about you? That's really well written. Thank you so much. So I guess we don't need to ask if it's a made-up imaginary story or not. It's probably really the truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's great. Well, today, as I mentioned earlier, we have 2 board members from the California Foundation for Agriculture in the Classroom who have joined us to help in the celebration, and they both have a few questions for you. We have Rick Phillips, who is from Simplot in Idaho, and Mark Dawson, who is with the California Farm Bureau in Sacramento. So, Mark, how about you take the first stab?
Well, this is great because now I know why My basil was always screwed up. So I'm going to take this book and leave it in my kitchen, and I'll grow it right this year. So thank you very much, Will. And I don't have to ask you what the where the idea came from, because obviously you do this in your back garden. What made you, you're a growing teenager. What made you decide to go ahead and participate in this contest? I'm sure you have lots of other things to do. Well, maybe not, but.
Yeah, well, at first I actually didn't really want to do the contest because it was hard for me to think of an idea. But then my teacher gave me the idea to think of a story that you could connect to and that you've actually like experienced. And so I tried to think, and since we were in the pandemic and we made a garden, I just kind of started writing ideas, and then it all came together.
Yeah, it sure did. Well, congratulations, and mom and teacher, well done. Not only to assign this, but when the pandemic came, golly, good job in trying to figure out something else to do for your kids. And what a great thing to do was to create a garden. What gave you the idea to assign this to your class, or did you just assign it to Will?
No, I assigned it to my whole class. I've been teaching at Sacred Heart School for 8 years, and when I first came here, our 6th grade teacher had been participating for several years and really encouraged me to get involved. My main focus is that I am an English teacher, so it's exciting to take on the challenge of Imagine This because it's teaching a research paper and a narrative at the same time. So it's quite challenging. So because I'm fortunate to teach middle school, I really enjoy challenging the students to take this on. And so yes, my whole class participated in the contest.
Wow, and who would have thought it would have come full circle and hit home the way it did, huh?
It was pretty spectacular. Will was really looking forward to something great happening in his 8th grade year, considering that he started school online and then, pod learning and all these. So once he found his idea, he was like, I really want this. So
cool.
That's great.
Congratulations.
That's great. And Rick?
Well, I think I've been involved with this contest for 10, 15 years, Judy. And I think this is the first story that has been more of a journalistic reporting story as opposed to a creative, think out of my head story, which is interesting because I have a degree in journalism. And so I was particularly pleased with the great detail you put, either through remembrance or however, putting a great story together that's more like almost a newspaper story because it's so accurate and so well done. And it's just fascinating. Good job. And so my question is, being such a great writer, do you have any plans for writing in your future, or is this just a project you did to get your mom off your back?
Well, I really like sports, and so one thing that I want to do when I'm older is I want to write about sports and like be a sports journalist, kind of like people on ESPN and stuff like that, because it's something I can connect to, and it's also something that I enjoy writing about. So,
well, based upon your writing here, you'd make a great sports writer. And in the world of journalism, sports writing is a world all to itself. They don't have to abide by the same rules that other journalists have to do. So you'll be a hit in that. I was wondering, Mom, Miss Magni, what was it like as a teacher? And this is a big deal for any student of any school to win a statewide contest. Here, your school won 2 this year. Both of them happen to be your kids. Talk to me about how you felt as a teacher, as a mom, and how Will's class responded to this whole thing.
Well, you may remember that when my daughter, who was the 4th grade winner, was on the other day, she said that I went crazy, which is fairly accurate. So I actually had a state winner 2 years ago, and I think I went just as crazy then, even when it wasn't my child, but it was my student, just because I love writing and I love when children love writing. So when we found out that our school had 2 winners and that both were my children, my 10-year-old daughter is accurate in saying that I literally did go crazy. And her teacher lives right around the corner from us, and we ran to his house. it's just really exciting. I felt like Will's classmates, who are my students, were very proud of his accomplishments. I think that his classmates recognize that he does have a passion for writing, although he does keep it hidden because, as he said, his true passion is definitely sports and baseball. But he is a very talented writer, and as a mom, it makes me very proud. And it made me feel good to see his classmates celebrate him. We actually came in from lunch early so that they could watch, and they all walked by the principal's office right now and gave him the thumbs up as he was getting ready to read his story. So that was really wonderful to see.
That's neat. Will, this is an old man speaking to you, but my experience has taught me that for us guys, for most of us guys, sports lasts for a little while. After we graduate and get a job, sports is pretty cool. And after that, the only thing you do is write about it. So your writing skills are going to bode you well. And your passion for sports and your passion for writing tells me you've got a great future. It's wonderful. Good job.
Thank you.
That's great. Too bad you're in 8th grade, because we've had stories before that kind of tie to stories that tie to sports, like where your baseball materials and your footballs come from, as well as the turf on the football field. So, oh well, tell your little sister about that one. That was always fun. Well, does anyone have any other questions before I share what kind of awards we're going to be sending to Will and Elaine?
I'd have a quick question. You
Yeah.
went into great detail of the stages of growth of Basil. Did you learn all of that from Abraham, or did you have to do a little bit of research on the side?
I learned some of it from Abraham, and then some of it I did take from the side.
And my last question, could we see a dance?
I think that might be.
That was for the mom, not the son, right?
And we had one more question from Mindy. Do we have the recipe for the pesto that was so delicious?
Yes.
I would gladly share it. We are actually, that is what we're having for dinner tonight to celebrate Will's great accomplishment.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
That's
Thank
great.
you.
All right, you pass it on to Mindy and she'll share with all of us.
Perfect.
Perfect. The dancing pesto. All right. Well, thanks so much. And Mark, were you going to say something?
No, I want the recipe.
Okay. All right. We'll send it. And then you'll have to learn how to grow the basil better.
Well, I'll read the book.
Oh, there you go. All right. Okay. So with that, great interaction. Thanks so much. We will be sending to Ms. Magni a different stack of books for you to be able to use in your classroom. And I don't think you're going to need 2 starter kits. However, if you want to, speak up, because we can share it with one of your neighboring teachers, one of your colleagues. Okay, and 2 starter kit boxes that will be headed your way this week. And let's see, let's see, for our regional, for Will winning the regional awards, he will be getting a book about agriculture and a really nice plaque that is recognition for his regional accomplishment. Let's see, I think you'll be getting a book. You will, all parties involved, including the artists, will be receiving a piece of the photography that was actually used in the story. First time we've had photography used. And I did want to mention that this was a real challenge for our art students this year. We only had 3 of the 6 teachers able to really come through with working remotely with their students to illustrate the stories. So this was our first our first photography story, and you will be receiving something just like your sister, a medal, but it's got your name on the back, and that is recognizing your talents.
You can wear that when you're hanging around all the gold medal Olympians, Will.
There you go. When you're doing your interviews, yeah, you'll have your own medal. And then, of course, the coveted e-book,
Reader.
e-reader that I'm trying to say. After 6 ceremonies, I'm really sorry, but it's kind of tongue twisting. And then we do have for you both an assembly certificate of recognition to Will Magni, signed by Assembly Member Adam Gray. And we have another Senate certificate of recognition that is from Senator Andreas Borges. So we will be shipping all of these great pieces off to you. I'm sorry we couldn't be there in person to actually share them, but it's really been a pleasure to hear your story and learn more about the impetus for your story. And now I want to just say thank you to all of you for participating. We definitely want to thank our 4 regional coordinators who actually do the first review of the stories, and that includes Jackie Zedeker, Donnie Rosasco, Trisha Stever-Blattler, and Mary Landau. And they have the initial review of the stories and then pass them along to the state level to be judged and to make you the statewide winner. We want to say thank you to those high schools that did participate: Intercom High School, Florin High School, Woodland Senior High School, and Grace Davis High School. And of course, we want to thank our generous sponsors of the program, J.R. Simplot Company, California Farm Bureau, and Zenith Agribusiness. With that, congratulations, Elaine and Will. You've done a really fantastic job.